Hello, Descendants, N7 here. The dev stream just ended at the time of this recording, and so I just wanted to make a summary for those who missed it. It was a 2-hour stream, so hopefully I can condense this into a little bit more bite-sized chunks for you to be able to understand what's going on. So the first time they opened up with a key live issues, Descendant balance patch. They addressed a lot of people in the community did not like the NS change and all that, and they were saying, sorry, you do not like this, but we are still going to move on with this because of the way NS is just going on. It's just going to hurt the content moving forward. And so they needed to bring her back a little bit to make sure the content in the coming season 3 will be in a good balance and all that. So that is their basically a summary answer to that thing. And they were like, we're going to be touching on Serena coming up, but since she's new, we're not going to do a full nerf for her right now, but we are keeping an eye out and then figuring out how can we make her a little bit more balanced as well. Void diversion purge improvements, and so this is going to be more focused on be able to implement skills into purge, because at the right current time the only way to get clears is through your weapons, and a lot of people want to use their skills, and so the director was able to get clears pretty consistently with using skills. And so the way they found a balance was using a hybrid version of skills plus weapons. So you can't just use skills, you can use just weapons, but like if you want to use skills, you need to have some weapons weaved into your damage rotation. So yeah, it's a pretty cool improvement, which I think is pretty cool. They were planning on doing an external core update, but they had to put that on hold due to some behind the scenes stuff, and they were like, I'm sorry, we can't really disclose what's going on, but we did have this plan, but just due to how everything is progressing, we need to give us a little bit more time on this. So in case you saw some external composition core updates, that is going to be delayed until further notice. So moving on, they gave us a little bit of a table of contents, and then they showed us a little short here of Blair, Ultimate Blair. For those who do not know, he is the next Ultimate coming out. Looks pretty cool, as you can see there. All right, and this is what he looks like. This is a screenshot from his story, because when Ultimate Blair comes out on the 17th, there is going to be a Blair story, and the way they described it is it's going to be a mix of funny but with some emotion and like some really tough stuff, because they are going to be leaning into how does a base Descendant become an ultimate, and so we're going to be seeing a little bit of how that transition works with the Descendant. So it's going to be a unique one, and they said that he's going to be funny, he's going to crack jokes, but there's going to be some solid moments in there as well. All that. So yeah, it's going to be a Blair story, which is going to be pretty cool. Next, they showed the 2 Transcendent mods, which we will be getting. First one is Killer Recipe, which is a triangle mod, and it's going to affect the passive as well as the first, second, and third ability. Passive, it increases critical hit range, damage, power modifier, and all that. And the move set is pretty cool, if I say so myself. And the first ability right here, you're pretty much a firebender. You're just throwing things left and right. Is pretty cool. So you're just blasting away and all that. The second ability is MP recovery amount as your max MP. So you just like be able to regen as much as possible. Now the fourth ability is pretty cool, into where you basically lock onto the enemies after you catch them on fire. So he's catching the enemies on fire, So once they're doing that, he's going to pop his 4, and as you can see, there's a target lock on them. So the ones that are affected by his first ability, then when you pop it, it just tracks to them and then does damage, which I think is pretty cool. This is probably going to be my new favorite Transcendent mod to use. And then we moved on to the next one, which is next level Arson, which affects the first as well as the third ability right here. So the first one and the third ability. First one, you create basically you touch every time you walk is where you create a path of fire in front of you, as you can see there. So basically it's the fire version of what Freyna's Transcendent mod uses, which I think is a pretty cool one. It looks like it's based on the range as well, so you can just leave a trail of fire. And then the third ability is pretty nice too, where you can, instead of doing a single burst, you're actually doing a cone shape. And you will see in a second what it looks like. Oh, let's see here. So now, as you can see, it's a cone shape right there. And so you use both hands instead of one, which is pretty cool. So it is more focused on AoE, which is pretty cool. Then we looked into what the ultimate skin looks like right here. And then there's a variant they were going to show in a second. And this is the other unique one, which is pretty cool. I think it has a cool look to it. And then on the update, there's going to be a total of 5 new component mods, which is, I think, is a cool addition. First one is Firebrand. It increases your skill range with a 2-piece set, which I think is going to be used a lot. And then a 4-piece set is Fire Skill Attack against enemies afflicted with burn. Fire resistance is reduced. So it's a debuff, which I think is pretty neat. Then they went over to the Plague Auxiliary Power. 2-piece set tech skill power is an increase, or a singular power increase, which I think will bring some really cool mechanics to some Descendants. And then the 4-piece set, max shields is negative, but your toxic skill power is increased by a huge margin, which is pretty nice. And on requiring custom resource toxic skill, power modifier is a plus, which is pretty cool. So Keelan and Freyna will definitely benefit from that. Next one is Enlightened Mage, which is a skill power per 2-piece set. But then if you're 4-piece, your fireman attack is negated of -12. But when using a non-attribute skill, it grants you a stack of non-attribute skill power, which is pretty cool. The next one is the Moving Fortress. This is more focused on tanking. So 2-piece set, it gives you a +25 to defense. 4-piece set, fire critical rate is negative, fire crit hit damage is negative, but reduce incoming damage modifier by that amount, which is pretty cool. And then the last one here is the Shell Crushing Auxiliary. A 2-piece set is the fire rate of your weapon is increased. And then on 4 set is on attack deals additional damage to anti-void shields, anti-RK shields. This is, as they said, is this 4-piece set will be used if you don't have Volti and you're struggling with the shields. You can break them faster. I personally don't think this 4-piece set will be useful for a lot of people, but it is there. Now, moving on, there are going to be some mods that are going to be added as well. The first one is going to be a Descendant mod. It converts 0.005% of the defense to a percentage, then adds that to incoming damage modifier. So this is more of a tank focused mod. And then a weapon mod, which on successfully weak point attack, tribute attack, increases your damage towards void shields. Fireman deals damage to additional RK shields. So as I said, this is like if you don't have Voltia, this will be a placer for it to be able to break it up. And if you notice too, you'll see in brackets there's a X, which is a multiplicative or a plus. And so they said they wanted to make it so you can be able to understand what the kind of damage is going to be. and that's going to be nice to be able to get notified on where how that works. Let me see if I can show you an example. So right here, so skill power is just a plus, and then this is a multiplicative one. So you can see the difference right there. Now for this new area, this is the Void Erosion Purge Challenge map, and this one is going to be focused more on leaderboards rather than actually grinding for resources. And this is for people who want to be like the top 100 in the world, and this is more on the competitive side. You will get cores when completing a round or level. They didn't give us much details on how that's going to look, but they said that you will get cores and all that once you complete it, but once you complete on your account and for that Descendant, you won't get anything else in return. So yeah, it's just more focused on trying to get cleared fast and for those who are more on the competitive side. So there's one angle which I think the map looks amazing, and here's another angle right here. Now, what do you get for getting to the top 100 in the leaderboards? Well, you will get a bragging right of a medal of some kind. Again, they didn't give us too much details, but you will get a medal for that season to show off, hey, I did this. But then once the new season comes around, it will reset. So you'll have to do it all over again. So it's just more of a, for the season, you know, I went to top 100 bragging rights situation. But speaking of medals, they talked about this new feature, which is going to be a little bit more permanent, which I think is pretty cool, is that once you do a few challenges, they didn't give us too much details, but if you complete certain challenges and all that, you will unlock these medals that you can then put next to your name, as right here and here. And then in Albion, you can see this person has this medal next to their name, which I think is pretty cool. And they said that if you complete these challenges multiple times, you can then get a number next to them right here, which for those who play Destiny, that's pretty much gilding your title, which I think is a cool feature. And as you can see, there's 1, 3, 3, 3, and 2. But again, they didn't give us too much details on how you can obtain these, but this is going to be something I will definitely be grinding for. And it's just a cool way of showing off some of your prowess. They moved on to the Reactor option enhancement, and I think this is a really cool system. So if you notice here, this Reactor has 2 purple stats, skill duration, skill cost. Now, if you wanted to upgrade it to gold, you would use these resources to be able to level it up. As you can see, there's a little segment right here. So you can increase the percentage of it to turn it to a gold. Now, they didn't go too much detail again on what this does, and I'm curious to see if you have a blue skill cost one, can you upgrade that to purple and then upgrade that to gold? Now, don't worry about these resources numbers. This is not final. They said they mentioned it in a Q&A session, but they're working on making sure that it's not too grindy and you'll be able to get enough resources to be able to upgrade them. But yeah, when I saw the picture, I was like, wow, that's a lot of resources. That's not going to go well. But they said this is just a placeholder for right now. They're going to fine tune it, so make it a little bit easier. I would hope to be able to do that, but it makes Reactor farming a little bit easier and doesn't have to be double gold or anything. You could have purples and be able to upgrade, which I think is a pretty nice feature right there. And then they also will be affecting the component side of things as well. So whatever your substats are, max MP, HP recovery modifier, you can upgrade those. Again, the amount of resources for the requirements for these will be changed on the final build. Now they touched up on some QOL, which is quality of life improvements, void shard removals. This was very this material, for those who are new and joining, this was very prevalent in the preseason to use for stuff, but now since it's not being used, they're going to remove it, which I think is a good idea. It's just taking up inventory spots at this current time. RK Factor XP is going to be part of the hard special operations, which I think is a pretty cool way of doing it. So just another way of just doing activities that you need to do, but you're also getting RK XP from that. Sigma sectors also have an increase for Descendant, as well weapon XP gains. So if you're grinding Sigma Sector for your RK, you also can level up your Descendant a little bit better with your weapons as well. And then energy control core reward additions, which is nice. When crafting the same weapon, now a lot of people, like a good example is the last dagger, which is a not really has an affinity to an element, but then a lot of people are like, I want to make it an affinity to chill because of 30s, and so they built and rolled the last dagger into chill, but then they have another dagger for another element, so they have like 3 different daggers with them, and so they had to core them and level them up. Now this will make that much easier. You'll craft it with a unique effect. So once you craft the second one, you'll have the highest level of the unique effect, which is nice. So you don't have to go grinding for 4 more daggers as you create one. And the core unlock requires only once. So once you create that one, you will have your primary core with it, which is nice as well. And they said that if for anyone who already has duplicates and all that, there will be a refund system. Again, they didn't give us details, but they will be refund some of those resources back to you. So don't worry about you. Hey, I already did this. I'm not going to benefit it. You are going to benefit from it. Serena Common Skin allows wings to be hidden. So a lot of people have been asking about that. And then the photo mode is going to have a filter option, black and white and all that. So I think it's a pretty cool thing that they're doing right there. Now, this is going to be fun. I'm going to have to create a new account for this because I'm looking forward to it. But new player experience, they're going to have a guide quest edition, which is pretty cool. They're going to streamline the main quest so you don't have to do as much filler missions. They reduced it by 40%, which is pretty cool. Mission play improvements, they have web guide integration, and this is really cool, is that Ultimate Bunny will be able to be farmed on normal difficulty instead of hard. So they really want to give new players Ultimate Bunny pretty much early on, which is pretty nice. So yeah, I will have to make a new account and try that out. Next, they went into a little bit of skins. On the 17th, this skin will be available in the store. You can laugh at that. And then on the 30th of April, we will have the Academy skins that are going to be unique to each of the Descendants right here. And so these are the good examples from that. Now, on the 17th, there's also going to be some events that are happening, which is pretty nice. There is a Descendant, a slot increase, which is nice, some catalysts, activators, just really good materials in general is going to be really nice. And then when you log in to during this event, you will get this emote, which is a pretty cool one. Like you can see Descendant knocking on the egg and then boom, pop out. And I also like this one too, is that they started an event that either gives you 2 Haley skins or Ultimate Bunny. They're having it until June. So for those who are been seeing a lot of new players coming in, you have not missed out anything. You have until June or to have this event, which is pretty cool for them. Next, we had a little bit of a preview of the May update, which is going to be part of season 3. Dynamic motion is pretty much physics in certain areas. If you know what I'm talking about. RK tuning sockets, what this means is the RK tuning will have like additional stuff that you can do with each of the nodes. Again, they didn't really give us too much details. They just pretty much said that we're not quite in the ready to be able to disclose too much information for season 3. We're still in process of creating it and finalizing it. So they just pretty much just ran through the list right here. The next boss is going to be the Ice Maiden, which is pretty much the Dead Bride variant, which is going to be pretty cool. Hard special operation rotation, Echo Swamp, and Sterile Lands. That's typical for any new season. Party and view other Descendants. Again, they didn't give us any details on what that means, but they said it's more quality of life for being able to find people. They did mention that for the party finder system, that is going to be based on keyword searches in a way. So if you're looking for a Colossus, the system will find people who are looking for Colossus as well and team you up. Again, they didn't give us what that view other Descendants, how detailed that's going to be. core item changes. It's just going to be disposing, they said, of not needed cores. Don't know what that meant, but again, they weren't able to elaborate on this too much further. Core weapon option multi-stat addition. So there's going to be a core that will have a multi-hit option, which I think is interesting. Inversion reinforcement presets. It was funny is that earlier on my stream today, at the time of this recording, there was someone was saying we should have a preset for your inversion reinforcements. Well, there you go. It's there. And then changing your order of your presets, that's going to be a nice way of being able to change that up, because like there's so many presets I want to change the order of, and I should be able to do that in season 3. And then photo mode, there's going to be stickers and frames, which I think it's cool that they're slowly adding on to photo mode with that. They did a little demo of the dynamic motion, but I'll let you watch that on your own free time. And then before they went off to take a little break, the dev stream for May will be at Pax East, which I think is pretty cool. So if you people who go to Pax East, you'll be able to see the Descendant crew there and all that. And so they have a few things, and they will have a video for the dev stream at PAX, which I think is a pretty cool thing. All right, for part 2, we had a little bit of a Q&A, which is a bit shorter one for them. And let me see if I can give you a few pointers on what they talked about. It was a really cool little detail what they showed about there were 2 tracks within the dev structure, and they said it's content improvements and cosmetics and skins. And because I think one of the questions that chat said was got a little bit weird with some of the updates where it was just saying some of them were just not related at all. And he said, yeah, because we're working independently from each other. And so it all some of the updates have different pass and release times, and just happens that they coincide together with one of the major releases. So yeah, if you think that an update sounds weird or something, it's because of independently ran tracks, which I think is a pretty cool insight into how their structure is. They covered a little bit more of the leaderboards, but I already mentioned that in the leaderboard section. So we had a little bit of questions about the physics for the Descendants, and it's a little bit vague on what exactly we can do, because it's like, can you turn it off? And beginning they say you could not, but then a little bit later in the Q&A they said you can turn it off completely, but we will have to see once it gets a little bit closer. They did mention about the party system, about the tagging, which I think is pretty cool. Reactors, they touched on a little bit of being able to convert it from purple to gold. A question was about Luna, and they said we have plans, nothing to share yet. And then about the idle animation, still in process, so they're still working on idle animations. There was questions about exclusive Descendant skins, and they don't have any information to disclose to us yet. And then they touched up on the challenge mode for purges, and is per count per level. We do have a new community manager that they are onboarding at the current time, which I think is pretty cool. They were not able to disclose too much information, but a new community manager is coming to First Descendant, which I think is pretty cool. They were getting asked about collabs, and they said that they need to get some things fixed before sharing details. So it sounds like they already have a few collabs lined up, but it sounds like this is my speculation, is that either the artwork is not correct, or there's some red tape that they have to do to get it official. But it sounds like they're already in process of getting some collabs news to us, which I think is pretty cool. They touched a little bit on the battle pass for season 3, and they said that we're working on making it better, but we cannot disclose what's going on with that, which is not a surprise. They are working on some new game mode, which is pretty cool, but can't share what those are. And then there was the last question of what's the next ultimate, and they said we already working on them and we can't share that yet. So yeah, they already know what the next ultimate is, but we don't know who that is. Hopefully this was helpful, a good summary. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.